Welcome to episode number 142, Disaster Recovery, Part 2. So you survived the last one. If you missed the last episode, you may want to go through that as well. We talked about there are 4 ways of getting publicity. One is to write good press releases. Another is to develop relationships with reporters. The third is to build your own audience. And the fourth is to do something bad or have something bad happen, right?
Yeah, preferably not do something bad, but if it happens.
Yeah, we're all human, so, and we all have humans working for us. You do have to consider the possibility that mistakes are going to happen. So we went through this last week. We have a fire in our backyard.
Still burning.
Exactly. That really brings us to mind, besides the fact that August is our PR month, and disaster recovery is a very important part of PR. So this is the canyon behind our house, and this caused us to go through a really quick disaster recovery checklist. It's very inspiring to have a weather event or something like that happen in your area, and we talked about that in last week's podcast. Today we're going to talk about a couple of other things that can happen. When something bad happens, the more options you have,
the better.
The better.
Much more better.
Exactly.
More better.
More better. Right. I think the best example of that is what you do as a CFO. The sooner you know about anything, the more options you have for how to handle it, right?
Financially, absolutely.
Right. And that's also true of other things besides financial. Yeah. So a lot of the folks in our area are LDS folks, and they have a whole thing where they keep a year's supply of food in their basement, and they have to-go bags ready to go. And, I don't know if you've heard of preppers. I'm sure everybody's heard of preppers. It's an interesting philosophy of expecting the worst and being prepared for it. But for your business, it can really mean the difference between life and death as well. So if you can, as Mike Tyson says, anybody can throw a punch, but not everybody can take one. So sometimes the ability of your business to overcome a bad situation is the difference between depth of character.
I haven't thought through disaster.
Exactly, have a tendency to go under. So, quote from our friend Dan Kennedy, I'm a life and death. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that a lot since 2000, since we started our business in probably 2009, and the other businesses that we've been involved with since then. When things go bad, the good companies survive, and the companies that are kind of have a shallow believer in the positive power of negative thinking love that. And so we're doing a little bit of negative thinking so that we can have more positive outcomes when something happens. So in the last episode, we talked about natural disasters, and when we or our client or one of our client's employees or one of our client's students or anybody like that makes a mistake. So you may want to listen to that again. Today we're going to talk about unhappy but influential customers and drama queens and trolls, right?
Exactly.
So those are 3 different people types, and knowing the difference between them and responding appropriately is really the best defense here. So first of all, an unhappy customer. This is something we never want to see, right? But it does occasionally happen, and it can happen for any number of reasons, either because of mismatched expectations, or something happens that's outside of our control, or something happens that is inside of our control. Like I said, mistakes and other things do happen. What makes this worse in aviation is that aviation is a small town.
Yes,
right?
It is. Everybody knows almost everybody.
Exactly. So if something bad happens to one of your customers, chances are everybody's going to hear about it. And everybody's also going to hear about how you respond to it and how you deal with it. So you do want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to prevent mistakes. And we talked about this last week in terms of checklists and other kinds of things. But there are some things that happen that are outside of your control. Like you have a weather event cause a problem with somebody's aircraft on your property or something like that. Or you have one of your owners or managers have a bad experience with the airport. Any number of things can happen that are inside and outside of our control. So what we do, and what most of our clients do because they are fantastic people and because they've been in business for a while in the aviation industry, is they will really bend over backwards to respond to emergencies. We've been known to stay up all night fixing a problem for a customer. We do whatever it takes. If it is a legitimate customer with a legitimate issue,
we'll fix it.
We'll fix it. And that's if the website gets hacked, if something bad happens, that they need a press release out right now because if something happened that was outside of anyone's control, those kinds of things. So people, I think, legitimately expect that in the aviation industry more than anywhere else that I've ever worked. And the reason is because we all deal with risk management and convenience, and we deal with VIPs, and they expect a higher level of service than the average Joe running around on the street, right? Mm-hmm. And legitimately so. So thing number one is if you really have an unhappy customer for a real reason, you do need to do everything you possibly can to resolve the situation as fast as you can, right?
You can't have unhappy customers.
Right.
Not and stay in business.
Exactly. All right, so now let's talk about the other possibilities. There are legitimately unhappy customers, there are drama queens, and there are trolls, right?
Certified drama queen.
And so, we understand what a legitimately unhappy customer is. That is somebody that has a reasonable expectation of something working that doesn't work for whatever reason, even if it's outside of your control. Matter. You cannot just throw up your hands and say, not my problem. That does not go over well. If you have a legitimately unhappy customer, the response is to respond and do whatever it takes to fix their problem. Drama queens are something else, and that is, people who have unrealistic expectations, people who, in fact, let's talk about some of the drama queen warning signs. Okay. Some of the things that we can tell, and, we kind of go through a process with new customers, or before they even become customers, where we ask them a bunch of questions, we have some consultations and other kinds of things. And if they are incessantly complaining about other people in the industry, people at different events, and, well, these people didn't treat me well, I was, really treated unfairly by those folks, and I went to this event and I didn't, get what I wanted, and especially if they're talking about people that we know, and everybody knows everybody in the aviation industry, and we know that they're good folks. Bad things do happen, but if there's a lot of complaining about other people, we know this is probably not somebody that we want to have anything to do with. If they're missing lots of meetings and office hours.
And complaining about other people in the process.
I understand this is the aviation industry, so a lot of times we have to reschedule and we have to accommodate different busy times and things like that. But
when the FAA shows up and says, we're here to help.
Right. Then it is perfectly legitimate to miss a meeting or to reschedule and, other kinds of things. But if they're not putting in the time to marketing and they really don't care about their relationships with their customers and, they really don't care about their marketing, that gives us the inclination that maybe this is a certified drama queen, right?
Could be.
Okay. If they are too busy and too rushed, especially to deal with people who are calling their phone number or clicking on their website or commenting on their blog, if they're too busy to deal with their customers, they're probably not a great customer for us, and they probably are a drama queen, right?
Could be.
Okay. Not interested in collaboration. They just do it for me. And I'm sure you've got your list of characteristics for your customers, things that you are looking for not. And the nail in the coffin is really being obnoxious to our other clients and or partners in our Facebook group or at events or anything else. If anybody badmouths any of our customers, we tend to not react well to that, and they tend not to be a customer for very long.
No, they do not.
Okay. So drama queen warning signs, we have had very few in the 9 years we've been in business. We've had maybe 2 that I would put in this category, right?
Yeah, it's sort of like Google. If you've been blacklisted by us, you're probably not going to become a client ever again.
Right. And unfortunately, aviation is a small world, so you want to make sure that you're not doing business with people who are going to reflect badly on you. So if we had a customer that was bad-mouthing our other customers, as an example, that just would not be a sustainable business model for us. So quite frankly, those are people that we need to make sure we avoid whenever we can and get rid of whenever we need to, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so those are drama queens. Let's talk about troll warning signs. Mostly this is about complaints that are completely irrelevant to the value you bring. Well, we'll talk about this with some examples. It's probably easier to show you than tell you. Or getting complaints or obnoxious comments from non-customers. So people who have no idea what we do, but say something on your website like, well, that's a dumb way to do it, if they're not even in the aviation industry, because they really don't have any idea what you're talking about. So those are warning signs of trolls, and we'll talk about how to deal with them in just a minute. So this is our process for dealing with social media negative comments. And a lot of the folks out there are trolls, meaning that they just want to get attention. They have a snarky comment for anything that anybody has to say, right?
Mm-hmm. Relevant or not.
Relevant or not. So the first thing we look for when there is something that we consider to be a snarky or maybe negative comment on any of our social media or our customers' social media, and this works in other things besides social media as well.
Of course.
So first thing is, are the facts accurate? And if they're not, you want to gently correct the facts and then leave it alone, right?
But if they are, leave it alone.
Exactly. If the facts are correct, then you figure out, is this a problem? If yes, is it being fixed? And if yes, explain what's being done, right? If it is not a problem,
You leave it alone.
you leave it alone. I don't like that color. Okay. We're not even going to respond to that because that is not something that we would consider to be a problem, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And what can you do about it anyway?
Exactly. So, if the facts are accurate, is it a problem? No. Leave it alone. Is it a problem? Yes. Is it being fixed? Tell what's being done. If it's not being fixed, you just say, here's why it is not being fixed. And then leave it alone. So what you don't want to do is get into a tit for tat, back and forth escalation with a troll, because they will drag you into the mud and beat you with experience, right?
And you will lose.
And you will lose. Well, if nothing else, you lose time, energy, and self-discipline, I guess, or self-respect by being seen to be wrestling in the mud with a troll. So you really want to take the high road here and default to the position of leaving it alone if you possibly can. So if there's something positive you can say it. If there's nothing positive you can say, it will die in its 15 minutes of fame and burn itself out in a,
Of course.
But you do want to monitor what's being said about you.
Oh, yes.
Because if it needs to be corrected, you need to correct it. If it is a problem that's being fixed, you want to address it. So that's our process that we highly recommend for all of our clients as well. Whether we're dealing with your comments or you're dealing with your comments, this is really the philosophy that we like to follow for that. Okay, so now let's talk about defense mechanisms for everything else, right? Okay, so one is we want to repel customers that are looking for the wrong thing. We want to have a guarantee so that we can make sure that people understand this is what we do guarantee. This is what you will absolutely get. We want to solve problems fast. We have no long-term contracts because we want to be able to divest ourselves from someone who becomes a problem for whatever reason, right? We always take care of our suppliers and partners first. In fact, we've had situations where we have driven hundreds of miles to a client site to retrieve one of our photographer's equipment when there was a dispute with a customer. So we take care of our partners and our suppliers first. And of course we take care of our customers, but we want to make sure that we feed the horses, right?
Have to.
Exactly.
Otherwise they don't work.
Right. And I think this is true in a lot of cases in aviation where things go badly. It's because they're not feeding the horses first. There's a lot of situations where partnerships go bad and other things happen because people are taking money out of the company too quickly before they take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, you can always feed yourself, but if you don't have your contractors and your consultants, your employees working and being paid, you have an issue.
Exactly. And then the last thing is you want to be able to exit stage left, as Top Cat says, You want to have an exit clause in any agreements that you have, and you also want to have an exit clause in your head for what do we do if something goes badly with this particular customer. And, we've got some clients who have 4 customers. And they're happy with that because those are 4 big customers and that gives them all the business they would ever want. But if one of those customers goes away, that can be an issue for them. So you want to think through what do I do about it if one of these relationships goes south for whatever reason, either people turnover or disaster or
a merger.
A number of things that are outside of your control could happen. So you want to make sure that you can exit stage left when necessary, right?
Yep.
Okay. We have talked about having a high ratio of good versus bad reviews. If you only have one good review, and then somebody gives you a bad one, it's going to have a much larger impact on your life than if you have many good reviews and somebody gives you a bad one, in which case, you're going to have a much higher average. So in this situation, a bad review could either bring you down to an average of 2.5 stars versus 4.5 stars. So you really want to do whatever you can to ask people for reviews whenever they're happy. Actually ask people for reviews all the time. And then when you get a bad one, it's not going to have as much of an impact on you. Here's another strategy that Snowbird uses. Snowbird is a ski resort in our community that I think is fantastic. So to start with, what they did is they took their 1-star reviews and they picked the ones that actually are rather positive for most people. So what this does is it repels the wrong kind of customer. So if you make it clear you are not for beginners, which is what Snowbird is doing here, they're saying it's too advanced. I heard Snowbird was a tough mountain, but this is ridiculous. It felt like every trail was a steep chute or littered with tree wells. How is anyone supposed to ride in that? Not fun. And that's Greg from Los Angeles. Well, you know what? Snowbird does not want Greg from Los Angeles littering its ski runs.
No, they don't. They want somebody that likes powder, enjoys the double black diamonds and so forth.
Exactly. So they took that 1-star review and they juxtaposed it against a really fantastic image to say, if this is what you're looking for, you really want to find a different ski resort. Okay, here's another one. There are no easy runs. We felt like our lives were in our own hands. We made a wrong turn and we were stuck on a double black diamond. It took us 90 minutes to shimmy down the Peruvian Gulch before we could even find a blue square safe enough to ride. Now, if you're not familiar with skiing, there's green circles, blue squares, and black diamonds. And I'm kind of a blue square kind of a girl.
It's a sequence from easy to tough.
Hard. Exactly. So I'm kind of a fair weather skier. So I enjoy the blue squares myself. John and his son James are black diamond skiers. So they love this sort of thing, and so if you are that kind of a skier, you're going to really love this resort. So what this does is it really communicates to their customers, this is the kind of folks that are going to really enjoy what we do. And now if we were to put that into our terms, it would be, these are the kind of customers, the people that really care about their own customers, the people that want to be collaborative in their marketing, the people that are willing to invest in relationships and look for those long-term wins. Those are the perfect customers for us. If they're looking for the easy button, or if they are looking for customers to just buy things and not bother them, those are not the best customers for us, and those are the ones that we would get the 1-star reviews from, because we actually ask them questions and make them collaborate. Here's another one. Disappointed. The people who operate the grooming equipment on strike or something. I was hoping for some corduroy to dig my skis into. So there are 2 types of snow. There are groomed runs and there's powder. And Utah is really known for what they call champagne snow, where there's a really high ratio of air to water. And it's beautiful powder that you just sink into up to your neck.
In this case.
In this case. Exactly. So this is what it looks like when somebody has beautiful powder.
Utah is known for powder.
Right.
And so if you come to Utah to ski, you should be expecting powder.
Right. So again, this is someone from Dallas, Texas. So it's probably to be expected that they're used to a different kind of skiing and they're going to be disappointed with that beautiful powder.
And having fallen in powder on one of the Black Diamond slopes, I can tell you, it's deep.
It is deep. Exactly. Okay. And one last one. No snow, says Teresa in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Now, this is a billboard that we saw in July in Salt Lake City, downtown Salt Lake City. So, no, there is no snow at Snowbird in July. There's actually a couple of glaciers up there, but, it's not something that you would expect. So they have the Wildflower Festival. They have a lot of other things going on. But they don't have snow. So there are people who are going to complain about what seem like the most obvious things.
I think there's a glacier in Colorado called Mary's or St. Mary's or something. You can ski in the summer if you want.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if any of ours are large enough.
Not here.
Right, to ski on. But there is a little bit of snow, but it's not something that people travel to Snowbird in July and August to see. So if you get reviews from someone that has completely unrealistic expectations, I don't know if I would recommend. We'd have to talk about this, if we wanted to actually troll your trolls and make a thing out of this. But what you can do is you can say in your sales presentation or in your marketing materials, you can say people who are expecting snow in August are going to be unhappy with our product or service.
Of course.
So whatever that situation is that people are unhappy about, you can make that a selling point and say, we are not for these kind of folks. We are for this other kind of customer. And then you're going to repel the trolls, and you're going to get more of the people who are the types that you like. See, real skiers, I'm going to say, expert skiers love this ad campaign. This is done really, really well for Snowbird because it attracts the right kind of people because they think, we're not going to get Teresa from Fort Wayne and this dude from Dallas, Texas, and this dude
exactly. So they don't have to worry about those guys littering the slope with their bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody else can go have a good time.
Exactly. And it's more fun for everyone if everyone on those particular slopes is not picking themselves up out of snowdrifts, and if you're not interrupting your ski day to help a newbie get down the mountain. So same thing with whatever it is that you do, there is an ideal customer type. And if you can repel customers who are not your ideal customer type, and we do this with this podcast actually. If someone is looking for a super polished Madison Avenue marketing company that is going to do everything for them and not collaborate, we are not that. We are not that. And people can tell that from even 5 minutes of listening to any one of our podcasts, that we're, very, very authentic, and we're really interested in people who are interested in relationships.
Yes.
And not the slick nonsense or slick, shallow nonsense that a lot of marketing companies will do for you. So if you want that, we can find someone for you.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So content marketing, we can help you devise some of these things where we are including some information to attract your best possible customers and repel the potential trolls and drama queens, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And a lot of that is just in the way things are worded. It was actually a section on the Splendid Table, which is a radio program that I listened to, where they were talking about signals in a restaurant. When you walk into a restaurant, you can tell what type of person they're trying to attract by whether they have, what kind of music they are playing, what the noise level is in the restaurant, whether they have white tablecloths or no tablecloths, whether they have cloth or paper napkins, whether they have a roll of paper towels sticking in the middle of the table. And all of those things are fine. It's just that they are attracting a different type of customer or for a different type of occasion.
Right.
Okay, so your marketing is doing the same thing, is setting the table for your customer, and you want to make sure that all of those signals are attracting the right type of person and not the wrong type of person.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Exactly, and that will make them expect the right things and also play along, be more likely to cooperate with you and have a great experience and tell everyone else that they had a great experience.
Yes.
So it's self-defense for restaurants, it's also self-defense for you to set the table properly, right?
Of course.
Okay. So, sources, Hanna-Barbera for Top Cat, thank you very much. Fox 13 for the fire photos. Atul Gawande for the Checklist Manifesto. Basecamp for the screenshots. And all of our good clients. If you are still one of our clients, you're a good one. I'm actually really, really happy with the clients that we have right now. They are fantastic folks and really fun to work with, and they're a great fit. So.
They're sharp as a tack.
Oh, yeah. I'm really inspired by these folks. They're a lot of fun. So if you want to talk about your marketing and setting the table appropriately for your customers, or if you have a situation with trolls and drama queens that you need to address, we're happy to do emergency management as much as we need to. So hit the Let's Talk button in the lower left-hand corner of our website, or call us at 702-987-1679, and let's talk about your situation and how to get more good customers and less drama
The other
queens and
kind.
trolls. Exactly. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day.